what I have here is another one of my sand trays with a mix of various plants, some of which I am unhappy with and unhappy with the containers, so I'm going to be swapping them out and swapping in one of my elms that you can see already worked on, another elm that was worked on but has some wire scarring and some planting angle issues, so we're going to need to fix that. Going to pull this tray apart and then figure out who I don't want in the tray anymore. So I have some uninvited grasses, and that is one of my rooted elm cuttings from a couple seasons ago. Probably not ready for a bonsai pot, but it amused me, so he went in the container. Here's another one that amused me. And just to give you a sense of scale, I've never measured my palm before. So my palm is 3.5 inches wide and maybe 6 inches. So this guy is 4 inches including the pot, 3.25 excluding the pot. And these containers go back to the old Chinzan nursery in Farmingdale, New York. They used to be sold in sets. I think there was 12 in a set, all different shapes and colors. You can see the roots found their way out of the pot and into the sand, so probably going to need to trim him back. Here's another one I did last year. You know your tree is small when the moss is almost as tall as the tree. And that's my favorite little weed. It's not really a weed, it's a ground covery kind of plant. You can actually pay money for them, but I get them for free. So, gotta make some decisions. Getting a little clunky up there. Just may take all that back, but we'll make that decision in a minute or two. Here's a boxwood that I rooted last year. I had the soil all the way up into here, and it has since washed away, so we may be changing the container on that one. Now this is a container that I made with the Bonsai Society of Greater New York. We did a ceramics workshop at Island Pottery, and I thought it would be cute to put my little purple flower weed in there, so I still may do that. This is another container that I made, and my goal in here was just to have some selaginella, but one of those weed seeds decided to take over and the grass invited himself, so I think I may refresh this. This pot has no drainage holes, so this is an experiment to see if I could maintain adequate moisture, and the answer is no. Without the sand tray, everything in there dies. And this is another container that I made, and those are the roots from the dwarf mondo. I'm not sure which variety that is. I was told it was Duchess of Sutherland, but if someone knows better, please let me know. I don't pretend to know all the names of all my plants. I grow them because I like them. Or sometimes there's an emotional connection. Someone gave you a plant and you hold on to it. So this one has drainage holes, so I'm going to need to prune that up, refresh him. Here's my purple little weed that I like. Mazis repens or reptens. I have to go look that up. And you can see the selaginella. I had a field day in here. This may be the way to propagate selaginella going forward. I'm definitely going to need a whole new layer of sand in here. There's my little favorite weed. Now this is erodium. Don't know the common name for it. Makes a nice little striped flower reminiscent of wild geraniums. Makes a sturdy little trunk, but is susceptible to just dying out at any given second with no discernible reason. So this is one of those plants that lets you appreciate what it does when it does, not anticipating that the plant will outlive me. Whereas, pine tree, maple tree, those I expect to outlive me. Another one of my boxwoods. In need of a nip and a tuck. Roots there. Wired them into the pot, so I don't have to worry about it because the pot this shallow. No way I could keep this watered without the sand tray and keep them inside the pot, because birds do fly into my greenhouse frequently. I think last year they were trying to eat my blueberries. Slug. Wish I had a turtle. Now this is, if I'm not mistaken, a piece of seiju, and seiju is a really great elm, with the exception that it will just die off in sections. So if you can keep it healthy and not have it die off, you can see the original tree was over here somewhere, died back for no discernible reason, and then poof, put out something in the middle. This guy's going to go in a completely different pot and probably not even go back in the sand tray. This should also be a seiju, but he's got nothing going on. So after my experiment with the different types of containers, I've decided that the bulb pans will be for finishing the trees, and the deeper pots will be for running them on, and I'll worry about spreading roots as I get closer to a form I'm looking for, although really I do worry about spreading the roots from the very first time I pot the tree. I always worry about the surface roots. I have no idea where I'm going with this or what I'm going to do with that. And this is a Chinzan azalea. This tree was out of control last year. It flowered 3 or 4 times throughout the season, and that has led me to believe that azaleas really pay attention to temperature and length of day. My old greenhouse Chinzans would flower twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. And that led me to the belief that they respond to the length of day. As long as things are warm and the day length is where they want, they'll bloom for you. Why this one bloomed 3 times last year, I have not a clue. So if you know a good azalea person, refer them to me. There is a variety that I will attempt to work with this year. It's from the Encore series, and they are azaleas that flower twice a year. So I have some seed pods here. I have no idea if they're viable. I just may put them in a seed tray and see what they do. Azaleas like to put a lot of growth at their base. So unless I'm using it as part of the design or as a sacrifice branch, I'm going to remove it. And this little guy has buds, flower buds lined up for this year. So should be in flower very shortly. As soon as the weather gets a little bit warmer on that side of the greenhouse. So I'll be sure to show them to you. I have pictures of this posted on Reddit, so if you look up my profile on Reddit, it's J.E. Capobianco, and you'll see pictures of this azalea and some other ones. So I'm going to let it bloom, and then I'm probably going to take it back hard this year. And you know, my apex is leaning away from the viewer, so I'd like to change that, but I'm going to let it flower first and then prune it fairly hard. Azaleas are really good about budding out on bare wood. So I can see there was a slug who visited. I don't see him now. So we'll let this one be. I'll inspect the roots, see if I have anything I need to do. I'm going to guess not a whole hell of a lot. Not much to do, if anything. So I'm not going to bore you with the process, because cleaning sand is not exciting. So I'm going to clean this up, work on the trees, put it back together, and I'll pop back in so you can see the final product.